Good afternoon, students. Hope you are all doing well. Okay, so we are today going to start a new topic, that is addressing modes of 8085. Now, this topic alone will make you understand the instructions. That is, what is the difference between writing MVI or LXI? What is the difference between register B and register pair BC? What is the instruction LDA or LDAX, and like this, so on. So briefly, you are not going to learn only about 8085 addressing modes, but you are also going to have a fair enough idea of instructions, that is when to write add or when to write add immediate, that is ADI. Clear? So now before we start, we are going to refresh the idea about registers. Okay, so I'm sure enough you have gone through the architecture. So 8085 has 7 8-bit registers. Okay, so what are they? They are A, B, C, D, E, H and L. Okay, so all these are 8-bit registers. Now why they are 8-bit registers? Because they can contain 8-bit contents, that is like 25H. Now 25H is a hexadecimal number, right? So how can this be 8-bit number? If we convert it to binary, it will be 00100101, that is it contains 8 bits. Similarly, if we take another number 64H, H means hexadecimal, if we convert into binary 01100100, so this is also 8 bits, that is the numbers ranging from 00 to FFH. Okay, all these are 8-bit numbers. So whenever you write, as discussed in the previous lecture, whenever you write any program in assembly language, okay, that is if you are writing 25H, what the assembler will do, it will convert this 25H into machine level language, that is in the form of zeros and ones, and it will get stored in the memory, right? So all these 8-bit registers B, C, D, E, H and L and A, these are they contain 8-bit data. Okay, now these 8-bit registers can also be used as registers together. Okay, that is called register pair. Okay, so the pairs that can be formed are B, C, D, E, H and L. Okay, now one thing you should make clear, that you don't create other pairs as per your choice. Okay, they are physically created as BC pair, HL pair and DE pair. Okay, so don't try to create pairs of your own. They are fixed, BC, DE and HL. So B is the higher byte register and C is the lower byte register. Okay, see here, B is the higher byte register and C is the lower byte register. Okay, now suppose your BC register pair contains 1234H. Okay, 1234H is a hexadecimal number. So how this will get stored? This 12, this is the higher byte data, will get stored in the higher byte register, that is B, and C is the 34 is the lower byte data, that will get stored in register C. Clear? So the higher byte data will get stored in the higher byte register and the lower byte data will get stored in the lower byte register. Okay, so same is the case with register pair DE and HL. Clear? Now the only register that doesn't form a pair is register A. It is also called a singular register. Now A is the most important register. I think you have already learned in the architecture video that A is also called the accumulator, because in any arithmetic or logical operation, what does A do? A holds the operand and the result. Clear? So if we add A plus B, So one of the operand, that is one of the 8-bit data, will get stored in register A, and after the addition the result is also get stored in register A. Clear about the accumulator? Now, so this is a small idea about the background that I wanted you to have. Okay, so next, let us go next to the next slide. Now the topic that we're going to discuss today, that is addressing mode. So what do you mean by addressing modes? So addressing modes means the manner in which an operand is given in an instruction. So when you write an instruction in assembly language, you have an operand, right? So what do you mean by operand? Operand means the value on which you want to operate. Okay, now let me give you an example. Suppose you want to add a number 25h. So your 25h is called the operand. Okay, so how will you give this operand to the microprocessor? That is, how you are going to tell the microprocessor that your operand is 25 is what is called addressing mode. Clear? How you are going to tell the processor that yes, 25h is the data on which I want to operate. Okay, so the way you are going to tell the processor that you are their operand is 25h, that way is called addressing mode. Very clear? Okay, so there are various ways of doing it. Okay, one way is simply you put the data 25h in the instruction. Okay, see 25h in the instruction. This is one way. Another way is you give the data in some register and tell the processor that you have to fetch the data from that register. There are 7 registers, right? So you can put the data in any of the registers and tell the processor that you have to fetch the data from the register. This is another way. The third way is you can put the data in some memory location. Okay, you have got the memory, so every memory has got its location. So you can store that 8-bit data in any of the memory locations, and the processor will fetch that data from the memory. So this is another way. So the ways are changing. Okay, but so in all these cases you are getting the data, right? Either you give the data in the instruction, or you give the data in register, or you put the data in some memory location. In all the cases you are getting the data, but the way you are giving the data in the instruction is changing, right? Either you are giving the data in the instruction, or you are giving the data in the register, or you are giving the data in memory location. So the way you are giving the data in the instruction is changing. So that is called what is called addressing mode. Okay, the way you are giving the data in the instruction, that is called addressing mode. Very clear? Okay, now there are 5 fundamental addressing modes in 8085. Okay, what are they? They are immediate addressing mode, register addressing mode, direct addressing mode, indirect addressing mode, and implied addressing mode. So these are the 5 addressing modes of 8085. Okay, so I am going to give you all the definition examples of all these addressing mode. Clear? So let us come to the first addressing mode, that is immediate addressing mode. Now in this addressing mode, what happens? Data is given in the instruction itself. Okay, see, data is given in the instruction. Okay, so whatever data you want to operate, you give the data in the instruction itself. Okay, clear? Now suppose you know how there are 3 processes in any instruction. What are the 3 processes? They are fetch, decode, and execute, right? So all the instructions, where they are stored in memory, right? So when microprocessor will fetch the first instruction from the memory, so as soon as it fetches the instruction, it will get the data from the instruction itself. Okay, so it will not have, suppose this here 25h is the data, so the MVI B, 25h. Here see the data, that is 25h, that is the operand, it is given in the instruction itself, right? So when the microprocessor will fetch this instruction, will fetch this particular instruction, okay, from the memory, what it will do, it will see that yes, the operand is given in the instruction itself, so it doesn't have to search here and there. Okay, it directly gets the operand in the instruction itself. Okay, so the operation is performed immediately. Okay, it doesn't require time. So that is why this addressing mode is called immediate addressing mode. Understood? Because the operation gets performed immediately. Okay, why immediately? Because the data itself is given in the instruction. Very simple, the data is given in the instruction itself. Okay, you don't have to search the data. As soon as the processor fetches the instruction from the memory, it sees that yes, the operand is given in the instruction itself, and it performs the function that is given in the instruction, and that is why it is called immediate addressing mode. Okay, you will get it clear when I will go to the example. So let us go to the first example. The same thing, MVI B, 25H. Now see here, what does MVI mean? MVI means move immediately. Okay, move immediately. Now so what do you want to move? MVI means move immediately. So what do you want to move? That is the data. Which data? The 25H. Which data? The 25H. Where you want to move? You want to move the 25H data in register B. Move what is the meaning of the instruction then? Move the 8-bit data, that is 25H, into register B. Okay, now you will ask, ma'am, how can you understand that 25H is the data, right? So this is your confusion. So now any number can be data, any number can also be an address. The number can be a data as well as the number can be an address. So how do you know then which one is data or which one is address, right? Now there is a trick behind it. Now see here, in this instruction what is there? I. So if in any instruction there is I, it indicates immediate addressing mode. I indicates immediate addressing mode. So if there is number after the instruction that ends with I, listen very carefully, if there is any number after the instruction that ends with I, that particular number is a data. Okay, so here 25H is the data because it is given in the instruction that ends with I. Clear? So this number is an instruction. This number is a data. Okay, so if there is no I in the instruction, then the number that is given in the instruction is an address. If there is I, the number is a data. If there is no I, the number is an address. So this is the trick. So it applies to all the instructions. This trick applies to all the instructions in 8085. Clear? So in this example, what do you understand? That the move immediately, MV means move, I means immediately, move immediately the data 25H into register B. Clear? Now here see, as soon as the instruction is fetched from the memory, the processor will fetch this instruction from the memory. It will get, whenever you will type this instruction MVI B, 25H, right? What does the assembler will do? The assembler will convert this instruction in the form of zeros and ones, right? So whenever the processor fetches the instruction, it will see that yes, the data is given in the instruction itself, so it doesn't have to look here and there. It doesn't have to search the registers, it doesn't have to search the memory locations for the operand, because the operand is given in the instruction itself, that is 25H. So the function that is moving the data into register B is performed immediately, right? It doesn't require much time, and that is why this type of addressing mode is called immediate addressing mode. That is, the data is moved immediately. Okay, now let us go to the second example. Now see here, LXI B, 2000H. LXI B means load immediate data 2000H into BC pair. What does this instruction mean? Load immediate data 2000H into BC pair. Now, what to load? Can you answer? Just answer by saying it loud. No one is going to hear you. Now 2000H. Now tell me, to this 2000H, is it data or address? Address is a 16-bit. Now tell me, 2000H is data or address? It is an data. Why data? Data because this instruction ends with I. Okay, LXI. I is there, so 2000H is data. So 2000H data will get loaded in register B or register BC. 2000H is a 16-bit data, right? 2000H is a 16-bit data, but B register is 8-bit. So how can a 16-bit data be loaded in register B, 8-bit register? It is impossible. So it means B indicates BC pair. Okay, B indicates BC pair. Now for BC pair, you don't have to write BC. For BC pair, you don't have to write BC. Any register pair is addressed by its higher byte. Okay, any register pair is addressed by its higher byte. So for BC pair, you can write B. For a DE pair, you can write D, and for HL pair, you have to write H. So you write B. Now you can ask that B can also be register B, also register B, also B can be BC pair. How to understand? Okay, now there is another trick. If in the instruction, if you see X, then it implies register pair. Understood? That is, here X is given, so B indicates BC pair. The same goes with D and E pair. B indicates, if there is B, then LXI D 2000H means load DE pair with the data 2000H. Okay, if I write LXI H 2000H, that is load 2000H into HL pair. So if there is X in the instruction, that will indicate B register pair. Okay, and I means the data operand that is given in the instruction is a data, not an address. Clear? So if I write LXIB 2000H, it will mean 2000H will get loaded into register pair BC. How it will get loaded? Now see, B is the higher byte register and C is the lower byte register. In this data, which is the lower byte data? 00 is the lower byte data and 20 is the higher byte data. So as I have told previously also, that the higher byte data, that is 20H, will get loaded into the higher byte register, that is B, and 00H, which is the lower byte data, will get loaded into lower byte register, that is C. This is how the data will get loaded into the register pair. Clear? Okay, if you have any clear, we will clear our doubts when during the class sessions. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So let us go to the next slide. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this addressing mode? Advantage is, it is simple. Why simple? Because the instruction is given in the the operand is given in the instruction itself. Okay, you don't have to fetch the operand from any other register or memory location. The instruction, the operand, the 8-bit operand or 16-bit operand is given in the instruction itself. And why? What is the drawback? The drawback is the instruction sizes are larger. Why larger? Now this will take a discussion. Now see here, in the addressing modes in 8085, the immediate addressing mode in 8085 use large number of memory locations. Okay, now in order to understand this, we have to go to the types of instruction in 8085. Now in 8085, instructions can be 1 byte, 2 byte or 3 byte. Okay, Now what are 1 byte instruction, what are 2 byte instruction, and what are 3 byte instruction? Now see here, I have written one instruction, move B comma C, move B comma C. Now see here, what does it mean? What does it mean? That it is the value is not going to the value of register C. Here register C will contain some 8-bit value, and register what this value, the value of register C will be loaded into register B. Okay, move B comma C. This is the destination, register B is the destination, and register C is the source register. B is the destination register and C is the source register. So 8-bit data of register C will be loaded into register B. Okay, now the value is not going to remove from register C. Okay, it is going to stay in register C. That is, it is a copy. It is copying the data. It is not cut paste, it is copy paste. Okay, and also the data gets stored in register B. Okay, the whatever data is stored in register C, it will get stored in register B. But after moving also, that is after the register B gets the data of register C, then also the data from register C is not going to be removed. So this is a copy paste instruction. Now see here, this is a move B comma C. It is an assembly language. Okay, now so the assembler, what the assembler will do, the assembler will convert this to machine language. That is, it will make a binary equivalent of that number, right? So this binary equivalent of this instruction is called opcode. Understood? Now see here, you are writing move B comma C, right? So what does this assembler will do? The assembly, you are writing move B comma C. The will the machine your processor will understand move B comma C? No, it understands only the value of the language of zeros and ones, right? So whenever you type move B comma C, what does the assembler will do? The assembler will convert this into machine language, right? That is, move B comma C will get converted in the form of zeros and ones, right? So this binary equivalent of this instruction is called opcode. Okay, so opcode means operation code. Okay, you already know. So every instruction has its own unique opcode. Very clear? Every instruction has its own unique opcode. There will be an opcode for move. Okay, there will be an opcode for move. There will be an opcode for sub. There will be an opcode for add, etc. So what does the microprocessor do? First it fetches the instruction, then it decodes. So what does it decode? This is the opcode that it decodes. Okay, looking at the pattern of zeros and ones, it understands what operation has to be done. When it fetches the instruction, then it looks at the pattern of zeros and ones. Move B comma C, it has a specific opcode. So the assembler will convert the move B comma C, that is assembly language, into machine language in the form of zeros and ones. Now when the processor will fetch that zeros and ones, it will see the pattern of zeros and ones. After seeing the pattern, that is, it will decode that pattern. What will decode? It will decode the pattern. What the pattern is called? That pattern is called the opcode. So every instruction, move B comma C, so it will have a particular pattern. So that particular pattern is called that opcode. Okay. Now all the opcodes are of 1 byte. Okay. Now all the opcodes are of 1 byte. Move B comma C. Let us take the opcode of move B comma C as 3E. Okay, I'll give you a opcode chart, then you'll understand. Every instruction has its own unique opcode. Okay, so move B comma C has a particular opcode. Okay, so one opcode is of 1 byte, that is 8 bits. Okay, so if I so let us take the opcode as 3E. So this is one example. So this is a 1 byte instruction because move B comma C has a particular opcode. There is no operand, right? Is there any data in the instruction? Is there any data in the instruction? No, there is no data in the instruction. Only when it fetches the instruction, only if you write move b comma c, what gets stored in the memory? The opcode of the instruction gets stored in the memory. It gets converted into zeros and ones, and that particular pattern of zeros and ones is called the opcode, and that particular opcode gets stored in the memory. That is 8 bits. So one memory location can store only 1 byte data. Okay, so only here what type of instruction is this? This is 1 byte instruction because it contains the opcode only. Okay, so this 1 byte instruction, as it occupies a single memory location, that is why it is called a 1 byte instruction, because it is occupying one single memory location. One memory location contains 1 byte data. So this, listen very carefully. So this instruction is capturing how many memory locations? Only one memory location. As it is capturing only one memory location, that is why it is called a 1 byte instruction. Okay, now let us go to the second example. See here, MVI B, 25H. Okay, now let us take the MVI B. MVI B, this whole has a opcode, say 3E. Okay, now here 25H is the operand. Why? Because I is there, so 25H is the what? 25H is what? Data or address? Data. So since I is there, 25H is there, so 25H is the operand. The processor has to work on this operand. So this is the data, and the whole instruction MVIB has a opcode, say 3E. Okay, so now this 3E, this is a 1 byte data. You are writing MVIB. How does it get stored in the memory? It gets stored in the memory in the form of zeros and ones, that is 3E. If you convert into binary, it will be 0011 and E is 1110. So this particular opcode will occupy how many memory locations? One memory location, 1 byte instruction, 1 byte data, and this 25H, that is the operand, this is a 1 byte data. Okay, that is 8 bit data. So both of them will occupy how many memory locations? 2 memory locations, 1 memory location for the opcode and 1 memory location for the 8 bit data. So total it will occupy 2 memory locations. So that is why it is called a 2 byte instruction. Clear? Now there is a opcode for MVI B, MVI B. Now a number can have so many options. MVI B has an opcode, okay, but MVI B, 25H has no opcode. Understood? Otherwise there will be several opcodes, because MVI B, 25H, therefore MVI B, 25H there will be one opcode, MVI B, 26H there will be another opcode. So MVI B, 25H cannot have an opcode. Only MVI B will have an opcode. Clear? So let us go to the next instruction, LXI B, 2000H. Now what does this instruction mean? I have already told. LXI B means now here 2000H data is address. Yes, of course it is data. Why? Because I is mentioned in the instruction. LXI, that is load immediately the data 2000H into register pair BC. Why register pair? Because X is there in the instruction. Clear? So 2000H 16-bit data will get loaded immediately into register pair BC. Okay, now here see which LXI B will have an opcode, or LXI B 2000H will have an opcode. LXI B will have an opcode, right? There is a specific opcode for LXI B. So this opcode will occupy one memory location because it is 1 byte. Now see here, this is a 16-bit data, 200H. So that is 2 byte data, that is 16-bit data. So 20H is 1 byte and 00H is 1 byte. So how many bytes are total in there? 3 bytes. One for opcode, one for higher bit data, and one for lower bit data. right? So it will occupy how many memory locations? 1 byte for opcode, 1 memory location for opcode, 1 memory location for the higher byte, and 1 memory location for the lower byte. So it is a 3 byte instruction. Understood? 1 byte if there is no operand, this 1 byte instruction. If there is 1 byte data, see here, if there is 1 byte number in the instruction, then it is a 2 byte instruction. If there is no number in the instruction, that is it is a 1 byte instruction. And if there is a 2 byte number, this is a 2 byte number in the instruction, right? So it is a 3 byte instruction. Clear? Along with the opcode. Should I repeat? If there is no numbers in the first example, there is no number in the instruction, so this is a 1 byte instruction because it has only the opcode. It occupies only 1 memory location, so this is a 1 byte instruction. Here you see only one byte data is given in the instruction, so it makes a 2 byte instruction because MVIB will contain an opcode. So 1 byte for opcode and 1 byte for data, so making it a 2 byte instruction. And if it is a 16-bit data is given in the instruction, so 1 byte for the opcode and 2 bytes for the data, so making it a 3 byte instruction. I hope this is clear. So this is a simple trick. Okay, now here see, let us take a quick example. Let us take a quick review of the examples. Now you have to tell. Now see here, push B. This is a 1 byte instruction, 2 byte instruction, 3 byte. 1 byte, why? Because there is no number in the instruction, only push B. So push B will have an opcode itself. So this is a 1 byte instruction. Again INR B. Okay, is there any number in the instruction? No. So this is a 1 byte instruction. Very clear. Move B comma C. Is there any number? No. Only the opcode for move B comma C. So this is a 1 byte instruction. Now see here, MVI A comma 25H. Now here MVI A, I is there, so 25H is the data. Now for MVI A there is a opcode 1 byte 25H. There is another 1 byte for the data. So how many bytes? 2 bytes, right? Again ADI A 26H. What the ADI A will have an opcode 26H. This is another 1 byte data. So 1 byte for opcode and 1 byte for this 8-bit number. So making it a 2 byte instruction. So now see here, STA 3000H. So STA will have a opcode 1 byte 3000H. This is 8-bit data or 16-bit data? 16-bit data. Now here see here, these are data or address. This is address because I is not there. So 3000H will act as an address, whatever it is. This is a number, right? So this number is 16-bit or 8-bit? 16-bit. So 30 will 30 is a 1 byte data and 00H is a 2 byte 1 byte number and 30 is a 1 byte number. So 1 byte for the opcode, 1 for the higher bit number and 1 byte for the lower bit address. So making it a 3 byte instruction, right? Again SHLD 4000H. SHLD will have an opcode, right? Now 4000H, this is a 16-bit number or 8-bit number? 16-bit number. So 1 byte for the higher bit number and 1 byte for the lower bit number 00H. So making it a 3 byte. 1 byte for opcode, 1 byte for higher bit number and 1 byte for lower bit number. So making it a 3 byte instruction. Again let us go to the second next example, LXI B, 2000H. Now LXI B, 2000H. LXI B will have an opcode, right? 1 byte. 20 will have a will occupy 1 memory location. Higher byte, 1 byte for the higher bit number. 00H, 1 byte for the lower bit number. So making it a 3 byte instruction. Halt HLT. Now is there any number in the instruction? No. So only one opcode for the halt, that is it is a 1 byte instruction. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now let us go to the next addressing mode, that is register addressing mode. Now what is register addressing mode? In immediate addressing mode, what we have seen? We have seen that the instruction was given in the data was given in the instruction, right? But here in register addressing mode, see here, the data is given in the register, the data is given in the register. How many registers we have? We have 7 8-bit registers. So in any of the registers we can have the data. Okay, so 8-bit data gets stored in the register. That is called register addressing mode. Now for example, move B comma C. Now who gets what? I have already told who gets what in this instruction. Register B is the destination register and C is the source register. So whatever 8-bit data is there in register C will get moved into register B. The data will not get removed from register C. It is a copy paste instruction. Okay, whatever data is there in register C, it will get moved into register B. Okay. Now understood? Now this is a 1-byte instruction or 2-byte instruction or 3-byte instruction? 1-byte instruction, right? Understood? So where is the data stored? The data is stored in the register. See here, the data is not given in the instruction. Is the data given in the instruction? No. What is given in the instruction? The registers are given in the instruction. In that register your data is stored. Okay, clear? Whenever the processor will fetch the instruction move B comma C, it will get converted into its binary equivalent number. Okay, that binary equivalent what is called opcode. Now what the processor will, if first it fetch the instruction, then it will decode that opcode and it will understand, yes, after decoding the opcode, that is after looking at the pattern of zeros and ones, it will understand that yes, this instruction is nothing but move B comma C. As soon as it understands that yes, this instruction is move B comma C, what it will do, it will transfer the data whatever is stored, that is stored in register C, it will transfer that data into register B. Clear? Okay, let us go to the second example. See here, I have written. Now let us make a comparison between immediate addressing mode and register addressing mode. What is the difference? See here, I have already told data 25H is given in the instruction. Here 8-bit data 25H is given in the instruction. This is immediate addressing mode. The data was given in the instruction. Now move B comma C. Here 8-bit data is stored in the register. That is what we have to store what we have to store the data 25H in register C first, and then register B is getting 25H. So first we have to store the data by ourselves into register C, and that data will then get moved into register B. Understood? Here we are directly storing the 25H data into register B, right? Now here first you have to store the data 25H into register C, and then after you write the instruction move B comma C, then only it will get transferred into register B. Okay, understood the difference? Here 25H is directly, the data is directly given in the instruction, so it gets moved immediately into register B. Okay, but here you have to first load the data 25H into register C. First you have to move the data into register C. 25, whatever data you want to store in register B, first you have to move that data into register C, and then after you write the move B comma C instruction, then only the data that is stored in register C will get loaded into register B. Understood the difference? So this is a bit simple, but this is a bit complex compared to this. But what is the difference? The difference we will going to understand as we proceed. Okay, next example I'll tell INRB. Now INRB, what does INRB means? INRB means increment the 8-bit content of register B by 1. Now here see, it is also an example of register addressing mode. Now register INRB, whatever data is stored in register B, it will get incremented by 1. Now suppose for example, if B is 25H, now if you write INRB, so what B will get? B will get the data added by 1. That is 25H will get added by, incremented by 1. That is, now B will contain 26H after you write INRB. Okay, now this is an example of register addressing mode. Because why? Because where is the data is stored? Is the data given in the instruction? No. the data is the register is given in the instruction. In that particular register your data is stored. Okay, so that is an example of register addressing mode. So you are giving the data in the register, not in the instruction, right? So this is an example of register addressing mode. Next example, INXB. Now see here, in the instruction X is mentioned, right? So if X is mentioned, B will indicate what? Register pair BC. Understood? B will indicate register pair BC because X is mentioned in the, I have told about the trick. If X is mentioned in the instruction, so that particular register will be register pair. Okay, so INXB means register pair BC will be increased by 1 or incremented by 1. Suppose if BC pair contains 21 to 35H data, for example, so if you write INXB, what it will do? BC pair will be incremented by 1, that is 1 to 35H will be incremented by 1 and it will be converted into 1 to 36H. Now see here how it gets converted in binary. If you write 1 2 3 5, it will be incremented by 1, that is 1 2 3 6H. Clear? So INR means 8-bit increment and INX means 16-bit increment. Clear? Clear? I think it is clear. So here in all these examples, move B comma C, INRB and INXB, these are all in all these examples. Where is the data stored? The data is stored in the instruction or in the register. In the register, the data is stored in the register. Okay, now explanation, a bit explanation so that you can understand a little bit more clearly. Now let us initialize. Now what is the advantage and disadvantage if we compare this with immediate addressing mode? Immediate addressing mode, it was simple because the data was given in the instruction itself, right? But here the data is not directly given in the instruction, it is stored in the register. Okay, so first you have to what we have to do? You have to store the data in the instruction. You have to store the data in the register, then that you have to operate on the data, right? But in immediate addressing mode, the data was given in the instruction, you can directly operate on the data that is given in the instruction. But here first you have to store the data on which you want to operate in the register and then you have to operate with the data. Understood the difference? So this is a bit, immediate addressing mode was simple, but this is a bit complex if you compare with the immediate addressing mode. Okay, but the drawback is that immediate addressing mode will contain more number, will need more number of memory locations if we compare it to register addressing mode. How? See, let us give a simple example. Let us understand with a simple example. I given one question: initialize register A, register B and register C with 00H. Okay, this is an example. This is a simple question. I have told you have to store register A, register B, register C with 00H. Okay, now I have used two ways. First, I have used with immediate addressing mode, then I have used the same program with register addressing mode. I have done by two ways. One way of programming is I have done with register addressing mode, and another way of programming I have done with register addressing mode. Okay, now with immediate addressing mode, what I have done, MVI A, 00H, simple. I given the data 00H in the instruction and A gets loaded with 00. Okay, what was given in the instruction, I have to load 00H in register A, register B and register C. Again MVI B, 00H, so 00H will get loaded in register B. MVI C, 00H, so 00H data will get loaded in register C. So here in all these instructions 00H are data, not address or any other number, because I is given in the instruction. So if you see I, so that the number is data. Immediately you have to understand that the number is data. So 00H get loaded. So after writing these three instructions, what will happen? A will be loaded with 00H, register A will be loaded with 00H, register B will be loaded with 00H, and register C will be loaded with 00H. So our program is solved. I have initialized all the registers with 00H. Now see here, MVI A, 00H. What it is a 2 byte instruction, 1 byte instruction, 3 byte instruction. It is a 2 byte instruction because MVI A will contain an opcode, right? So 1 byte, and 00H is 8 bit number, so this is a 1 byte, so making it a 2 byte instruction. Same goes with MVI B, 00H, MVI C, 00H. So all these are 2 byte instruction. MVI B opcode 1 byte, 00H 1 byte, 2 byte. MVI C opcode 1 byte, 00H 1 byte. So 2 byte. So how many 6 byte instructions in total? So how many memory locations will it take? 6 memory locations, because one memory location contain 1 byte. So how many memory locations it will take? It will take 6 memory locations in total. Now the same program I have done with register addressing mode. Understood? So here I have used only one instruction with immediate addressing mode because I have to initialize the register first. MVI A, 00H. So what I have done, I have initialized register A with 00H. Clear? I have initialized register A with 00H. Okay, so how many what type of instruction is this? This is a 2 byte instruction because MVI A will contain an opcode, so one opcode will take 1 byte, and 00H, this is a 8 bit number, so this is another 1 byte, so 1 byte, this is a 2 byte instruction, right? So this it will take a 2 byte instruction, so A will be loaded with 00H, right? Then move B, A. So what will happen? Move B, A. Whatever data is there in register B A will get loaded into register B. What is there in register A? 00H, right? Because I have initialized register A with 00H data. So 00H will get loaded in register B. So after loading, will the data on register A will get erased? No. Register A will contain 00H only it will get copied to register B. So this is I have already told, this is a copy paste instruction. Move B, A. So A is initial, so whatever data is there in register A, that will go to register B. So B is also initialized with 00H, right? Then again I write move C, A. Okay, so if I write move C, A, then what will happen? Whatever data is there in register A, then what is there in register A? 00H. So that 00H will get loaded into register C. Okay, so register C, that is will now contain 00H. Okay, clear? So first I have initialized register A with 00H, then I have copied this register into register B, as well as I have copied the data into register C. So now all the registers A, B and C are initialized with 00H, right? So I have done the programming in two ways. First I have done with immediate addressing mode, then I have used register addressing mode. Okay, now see what is the difference. How many memory locations it took? 6 memory locations, 6 bytes in total. I have already explained. Now here see, MVI A, 00H. This is 1 byte or 2 byte? Of course 2 byte. Because why? MVI A will have a opcode, right? 1 byte, and 00H is 8 bit data, 1 byte for this. So total in 2 byte, it is a 2 byte instruction. So how many memory locations it will take? 2 memory locations, right? 1 byte for 1 memory location. Now move B, A. Is there a number in the instruction? No. There is no number in the instruction. Only one opcode will be there for move B, A, right? So this is a 1 byte or 2 byte. This is a 1 byte instruction. So how many memory locations it will take? 1 memory location. Again move C, A. It is also a 1 byte instruction, right? Because there is no operand in the instruction, only opcode. So how many memory locations it took in total? 2 memory locations for MVI A, 00H, 1 memory location for move B, A, and 1 memory location for move C, A. So 4 byte instructions. This is a total. This program takes 4 byte instructions in total. That is, it will occupy 4 memory locations. Now understood? This will take 6 memory locations. This will take 4 memory locations. Understood? So the basic thing is, whenever we will do programming, we have to keep in mind the file size of the program. Okay, the file size of the program. Every step of programming is done keeping file size as one of the biggest factors of optimization, because as more as the program is less in size, the faster it will run on devices, right? If you make the program less in size, the faster it will run on devices. So here the example number 2 will make the program size much smaller than example 1. Okay, clear? So which one will go, which one, if we want to do programming, which one will with which programming we will go? Of course with the programming number 2, because this will take less number of memory locations. So whenever we will be doing programming, when you start our programming, our aim should be that one to use as minimum number of memory locations we can use. Okay, our aim should be the less number the more and more we will do programming, our aim will be to use less number of memory locations. Understood? Because it will run much faster in the devices. Okay, when you will be doing higher level programming, then also your aim should be to use minimum number of memory locations, right? You have to keep in mind the factor of optimization. Okay, this is the biggest the file size is you have to keep in mind the file size because as one of the biggest factor of optimization, right? So register addressing mode is basically, it makes the program a bit complex compared to immediate addressing mode, but it uses lesser number of memory locations. Understood? I think you have understood with the example why it uses lesser, how it uses lesser number of memory locations. Okay, so let us go to the next slide. Now the third and fourth addressing mode, that is the direct and indirect addressing modes. Okay, so these two addressing modes are used when the data you want to work on is stored in somewhere in the memory location. Okay, not in the processor. Earlier we have seen the data was given in the processor itself, either in the instruction or in the register. So all these are in the processor itself, but here in direct and indirect addressing mode, the data is not in the processor, it is somewhere in the memory. So memory is a different section from the processor. So when the data is stored in the memory and you want to access this memory and you want to access the memory, okay, so you have to either use direct addressing mode or indirect addressing mode. Clear? Whenever the data is stored in the memory and you have to access the memory, you have to use two addressing modes. Either you have to use direct addressing mode or you have to use indirect addressing mode. Clear? Earlier in immediate addressing mode and register addressing mode, where the data was stored in the processor itself, right? In the processor itself. Of course, the data was when the type the data was stored in the memory first, but and the processor faced the instruction. But when you address the data, how you addressed it? Either in the instruction itself or in the register. So all these are in the processor. You don't have to look into the memory. But here in this addressing modes, the data will be given in the memory and the processor will have to fetch the data from the memory. Okay, you have to access the memory for getting the data. The data will not be given in the register. Earlier you have to access the register. The register was there itself in the processor. Okay, but here the data will not be given in the processor, it will be given in the memory and you have to access the memory for getting the data. Understood the difference? Okay, now let us go to the first direct addressing mode. So what is direct addressing mode? Now in this addressing mode, address is stored in the instruction. Instead of giving the data, what we are giving? We are giving the address. We are giving the address. Listen carefully. As we are proceeding, we are going to complex programming. Okay, so listen very carefully. What we have done first? We have done first immediate addressing mode. The data was directly given in the instruction. the operand on which you want to operate, that was directly given in the instruction. Then we have studied register addressing mode. What was there in the register addressing mode? The operand on which you want to operate, that operand was given where? In the register, not in the instruction itself. In the register, first you have to store the data into register and then you have to access the data. Now here in write addressing mode, where the data will be given? The data will be given in the memory, and then you have to get the data from the memory. Okay, now see here in write addressing mode, where the data is given, the data is given in the address, and that particular address will be given in the instruction. Okay, now instead of giving the data, what you are giving? You are giving the address. Now the first example I will show here is LDA 2000H. LDA 2000H. Now what does LDA means? Does it contain I? No, LDA doesn't contain I. So this 2000H, is it data or address? No, it is not data, it is address. Okay, so what does this address do? What does this address do in this instruction? See here, what does this LDA means? LD means load. Load where? Into accumulator. A stands for accumulator. Okay, load into accumulator the contents of memory location 2000H. The contents of memory location 2000H. Okay, suppose in 2000H memory location there is some data. Okay, that data of 2000H will get loaded into accumulator. Okay, that data will get loaded into accumulator. Clear? Now see here, this is a memory location 2000H, some 8-bit data. I have taken XX, whatever you want to take. That 8-bit data will get loaded into accumulator. Understood? So this memory location where the data is stored, this memory location will be given in the instruction. Okay, this memory will be given in the instruction, and from that memory location the processor will access the data. Okay, and it will load the data into accumulator. Clear? So now you make a comparison. Here LXI B 2000H, what does it mean? Here data 2000, it is data 2000H. Clear? As I is included in the instruction. Here it is a data 2000H, but as soon as I write LDA 2000H, now this 2000H, it is not a data, it is a address. Understood the difference? This is data. Why? I is mentioned. Now here it is, as I is not there, so you have to quickly understand that this is not a data, this is a address. And what does this address contain? This address contain the 8-bit data on which you want to operate. Okay, so that 8-bit data will get loaded into accumulator. Very clear? This is your memory, this is your processor. Okay, it contains the registers. Now you have written LDA 2000H. What the microprocessor will do? It will first locate the memory location 2000H. Okay, it will first memory, then the 2000H memory location is already mentioned in the instruction. It will directly go to the processor, will directly go to that memory location 2000H, and whatever data is there is stored in 2000H, that particular data will be loaded into accumulator. Clear? So while writing, we can write it like this, putting in the third bracket 2000H. The third bracket means contents of. Okay, so contents of 2000H will get loaded into register A. Clear? Contents of one memory location contain 8-bit data. A is also an 8-bit register, so that 8-bit data of 2000H will get loaded into register A. I hope you are clear. Okay, so here see 2000H is a data. Why? I is mentioned, and since I is not mentioned here, 2000H is a address. Understood the difference? Okay, now let us go to the next here. Another example, STA 3000H. What does STA means? ST means store. store the contents of memory location, store the contents of register A. See, since here I is not given, so 3008 is data or address? It is a address. So STA means store the contents of accumulator, okay, or register A in the memory location 3000H. So 3000H memory location is directly given in the instruction. So what the microprocessor will do, it will first locate the memory location 3000H, and whatever data is stored there in accumulator 8-bit data, that will get loaded in 3000H. Okay, so that will get whatever data is there in accumulator, that will get loaded in 3000H. Just the opposite of LDA. What was in LDA, what was done? The data of 2000H was loaded or put into accumulator, and here the data of register A will get loaded in 3000H memory location. Okay, this is ST means store, and here LD means load. Clear? Now you will get clear it by this example. Now see here, this is your memory location from 0002 FFFFH. Okay, now somewhere in between these memory locations there is the memory location 2000, there is a memory location 3000. Okay, now you write the instruction LDA 2000H, right? So now LDA 2000H, what does it mean? In L2000H there is some data, there should be some data, any data by default. Okay, let us take the data by as 33H. Okay, let us take the data as 33H. So if you write LDA 2000H, what the microprocessor will do? The processor will load the contents of 2000H. What is the contents of 2000H means? 8-bit data, that is 33H. It is given in the example as example. That 33H will get loaded in register A. Understood? Now if you write STA 3000H, what does it mean? The whatever data was there in 33H accumulator, what was there in accumulator 33H, now that 33H will be stored in memory location 3000H. Okay, and 3000H will contain some data previously. Okay, so that data will be overwritten by 33H. Understood? That previous data will be erased, and the new data that is coming from accumulator will get stored in memory location 3000H, that is 33H. Okay, the data of accumulator, first you have loaded the accumulator by data 33H by LDA 2000H. Okay, and then we have stored the data of accumulator, that is 33H, into memory location 3000H. Understood the difference between LDA and STA? LDA means load into accumulator. I have loaded the data into accumulator, and then STA means stored the content of accumulator, that is I have stored the content of accumulator in memory location 3000H. That is what the data what was there in the accumulator 33H, that 33H is now stored in memory location 3000H. I think it is clear. Okay, now let us take an example. Let us take an example of a program. Now you will get whatever we have done up till now, you will get it clear by this programming. Now what I have given in the question, take the data of location 2000H into register A. Take the data of location 2000H into register A. That is whatever data was there in memory location 2000H, first you have to load the data into register A. Clear? Then transfer the data into register B. So whatever data is there in register A, we will copy it into register B. Okay, then take the data of memory location 3000H into register A. So again in the third step, what you have to do, you have to load the data of 3000H memory location into register A. Okay, understood? First you have to load the data of 2000H memory location A, then we have to copy the data of register A into register B, then again you have to load the data of 3000H into A. Okay, and then we have to add then add the value of register A and register B, and then we have to add the 8-bit data of register A and 8-bit data of register B. Okay, now after adding, where will be the result stored? Of course in register A, because in arithmetic and logical operation in 8085, one of the operand should always be stored in register A. So after adding, where the result will be stored? In register A. Okay, now to that result we have to add the 8-bit data 25H. You have to add the data 25H, right? Then after addition, what will happen? Where the result will get stored? Again in accumulator. Okay, then after the result is stored in register A, okay, you have to store the data of register A in memory location 4000H. Clear? What is the question? First you have to get the data in register from the 2000H memory location, then you have to move the data into register B. Okay, so that is the data of 2000 memory location will be copied to register B. Then you have to load the data of memory location 3000H into register A. Okay, so whatever data was there in register A, it will be now overwritten by the data of memory location 3000. So you've got a new data in register A. Now you have to add the data of register A and register B. After addition, wherever the result stored, the result will get stored in register A, right? So after this 8-bit data or the 8-bit result, with that 8-bit result we have to add the data 8-bit data 25H. Okay, and after addition, where the result will be stored? And the result will be stored in register A. Okay, then after this register A, the 8-bit the final result that is stored in register A, you have to store that data into memory location 4000H. Clear? Now how will you solve it? What will be the instructions used? Just see. First, what was the step? Take the data of location 2000H into register A. That was the first step in the program. So what will be the instruction used? LDA 2000H. LDA 2000H. If we write LDA 2000H, what will happen? The contents of 8-bit contents of memory location will get loaded into register A. Clear? So the first step is over. Second step, transfer the 8-bit data from register A to register B. Okay, whatever data was there in register A will be now copied to register B. So what will be the instruction used? Move B comma A. So the data of A will be copied to register B. Okay, so second step is also over. Third step, take the data from memory location 3000H into register A. Whatever data was there in 3000H will be loaded into register A. Again, what instruction will be used? LDA 3000H. So whatever data was there in the memory location 3000H will be loaded into the 8-bit content of register 3000H will be loaded into register A. Clear? So 8-bit data of 3000H will get loaded into register A. So whatever data was there from 2000H, it will be now overwritten by the memory data of memory location 3000H. Okay, then what was the fourth step? Add the 8-bit value of register A and register B. Okay, we have to add the data of register A and register B. So basically we are adding the data of memory location 2000H and memory location 3000H, right? So A plus B. So what will be the instruction used? Add B. Okay, now you don't have to write add A comma B. Why? Because it is understood by default that data of register B will get added into register A. Okay, it is understood by default that one of the operand is whether it is logical or arithmetic in 8085, one of the operand will always get stored in register A. It is understood by default, so you don't have to write add A comma B. A is taken by default. Okay, so while doing any arithmetic or logical operation, you have to remember that one of the operand you have to store in register A always. Okay, so add B. So if you write add B, what the processor will do? The processor will immediately add the data stored in register B with the data stored in register A. okay, and after addition what will happen? The 8-bit result will get stored in accumulator, that is register A. Okay, understood? Then the answer is stored in register A. Okay, and what was the fifth step? You have to add the data 25H. Now here it is mentioned in the question that 25H is the data, right? We have already mentioned in the question. For that you have to use instruction ADI 25H. ADI means what? Add immediate, add immediately. Now since I is given, 25H was the data, I have used I. ADI, ADI means add immediately. With what to add? 25H. With what? A is not mentioned. By default I will take A. So ADI I indicates 25H, that is 25H is the 8-bit data. So whatever data is stored in the accumulator, the result it will be added with the 25H data. Okay, so I don't have to write ADI A, 25H. No, ADI only ADI 25H. A is accumulator is taken by register is A is taken by default. Okay, so whatever data 25H is given in the program, that data will be added with the 8-bit result that was stored in register A. Okay, and after addition, where is the result stored? The result will get stored in accumulator. Okay, the 8-bit result will get stored in accumulator. Clear? Now what was the last step? Whatever the result is stored now in register A, that result we have to store in memory location 4000H. Whatever data is there in memory register A, we have to store that data of register A into memory location 4000H. Okay, so what instruction will we use? STA 4000. Okay, that is store the content of accumulator in memory location 4000H. Clear? STA means store the content of memory location accumulator into memory location 4000H. Now what does A contain? A contain the 8-bit result of addition that was done previously, that is ADI 25H. This result will now get stored in memory location 4000H. This third bracket means that 8-bit data of this particular memory location. I hope this program is clear. Okay, now let us take a quick revision. What instructions we have used? LDA first. LDA 2000H. Which addressing mode is there? A. It is direct addressing mode. Why? Because the memory, this is the memory, this is not data 2000H. So the memory was given in the instruction. So this is the direct addressing mode, because you have to, because where the data was given, the data was given in the memory, right? So this is the direct addressing mode. Move B, A. So here where is the data stored? The data is stored in the registers. So this is a register addressing mode. Again LDA 3000H. Here also the 3000H is a memory location. Where is the data stored? The data is stored in the 3000H. That data will get loaded into accumulator. So this is an example of direct addressing mode. Add B. Where is the data given? The data is given in the register. Okay, the data is given in the register. So this is an example of register addressing mode. Now ADI 25H. Here what 25H is the data, because I is given in the instruction. So this is an example of immediate addressing mode. Again STA 4000H. So 4000H is the memory location, right? So because I is not there, so where is the data stored? In memory location. Okay, so you have to access the memory location for storing the data. So this is since you are accessing the data, since you are accessing the memory location for storing the 8-bit data, it is an example of register addressing mode. Whenever you have to access the memory location for storing or loading the data, so we will be using either register addressing mode, direct addressing mode. Sorry, I have written this wrong. This will be direct addressing mode. Okay, this will be direct addressing mode. This will not be register addressing mode. This is the direct addressing mode. Okay, make it clear. This is not register addressing mode. This is direct addressing mode. Okay, I written this wrong. So this is an example of direct addressing mode. So whenever you want to access the memory for storing the data, okay, or loading the data, you have this will be we will be using either direct or indirect addressing mode, and whenever the data will be given in the instruction, we will be using immediate addressing mode, and whenever the data is stored in the register, that is an example of register addressing mode. I hope this is clear. Now make this is direct addressing mode. I am repeating, this is direct addressing mode. I have written this wrong. This is an example of direct addressing mode. So I hope it is clear up till now. So what is the drawback? Can you tell? What is the drawback of this direct addressing mode? This is too large in size. Why? Because it will always use a memory location. A memory location will always be given in the instruction. So a memory location is what? It is a 16-bit data, that is it will contain 2 byte. Okay, so address is of 2 byte and 1 byte for the opcode, so it will always take it will be always addressed as a 3 byte instruction, and it will always take 3 memory locations, 1 byte for 1 memory location, right? So this addressing mode will take 2 much memory locations, and that will the instructions that we will be using by direct addressing mode, that will be too large in size. So this is one drawback. Okay, now let us come to the next addressing mode. This is the most useful addressing mode whenever you want to do any intense programming, and most of you will be using this addressing mode, and most of the 90% programs is done using indirect addressing mode. Okay, this is a bit complex, but you have to understand, because this addressing mode will be using repeatedly, okay, when you will start programming. So you have to understand very clearly this indirect addressing mode and why we are using indirect addressing mode over any other addressing mode. Okay, now let us start indirect addressing mode. So in indirect addressing mode, what we have seen, the memory where the data was stored, that memory was directly given in the instruction, right? See here, the memory here 2000H, this is the memory, right? Here the data was stored. Now that memory is directly given in the instruction, so this is direct addressing mode. Then in indirect addressing mode, the address where the data is stored, that address will not be given in the instruction, that address will be given in the register. Understood the difference? In direct addressing mode, see here, in direct addressing mode, where the data was given, the data was given in the memory, and that particular memory was mentioned in the instruction, right? But here in indirect addressing mode, the data will not be given in the instruction. The address where the data is stored will not be given in the instruction. It will be given in the register. That is, the address will be mentioned in the register. Okay. So we are giving the address indirectly. In the direct addressing mode, the address was given directly in the instruction, but here in indirect addressing mode, we are giving the address indirectly, and that is why it is called indirect addressing mode. Okay, I hope you have got a bit idea. Now listen to me very carefully. We want to work on some data, right? The data is not with us, right? The data is somewhere in the memory. Okay, now the address of that particular memory location is stored in some register. Okay, we are going to write that register in the instruction. Clear? Or should I repeat? We want to work on some data. The data is not with us. Where is the data? The data is somewhere in the memory location. Okay, the address of that particular memory location, is stored in some register. In direct addressing mode, the address of the particular memory location was given in the instruction. Remember, LDA 2000H, the memory location was mentioned in the instruction, but here the memory location will not be mentioned. It will be stored in some register. Okay, we are going to write that register in the instruction. Clear? So processor will first note that register. from there it will pick up the address. Okay, it will go to that particular memory location. Okay, and from there it will get in the data. Clear? What the processor will do, when the processor will fetch the instruction, it will first see in which register the address is stored. It will first note that register. Okay, and from that register it will pick up the what? Address or data? It will pick up the address. Now then what the processor will do, the processor will go to that particular memory location. The address that is given in the that is indicated by the register. Okay, it will go, the processor will go to that particular memory location. From there it will pick up the data. Clear? So you are not giving the address, but you are giving the address. Okay, but you are not giving it directly. You are indirectly using the register, and hence the name is indirect addressing mode. I think it is clear. Now it will be more clear with this example. Now see here what I have written, LDAXB. First of all, what you notice in the instruction? X. So X means B is indicating what? B is indicating register pair BC. Okay, B is indicating register pair BC. Understood up to here? Now LDA. What does LDA mean? We have already told, load accumulator. Load accumulator. LDA means load accumulator, that is register A is getting the value from where? From the memory location that is indicated by the BC pair. Listen very carefully. The memory location from that is indicated by the BC pair. Now suppose BC pair is a 16-bit register pair. Now it will contain 16-bit address. Now suppose for example BC pair contains 2000. So 2000 is the address here. Okay. Now if I write LDAX, X means B register pair. Okay, I have already told, whenever you find X, that means the register is indicating register pair. Okay. Now B is indicating what? BC pair. So BC pair, what does it contain? It contains memory location 2000H. Okay, so what the processor will do, it will first note the BC pair, then it will note what address is there in the BC pair, 2000H. So it will go to the particular memory location 2000H. Okay, then from 2000H it will load the data into accumulator. Understood? So here 2000H is not given directly in the instruction. It is given in the register pair, and that register pair is mentioned in the instruction. Understood? And that is why you are giving the address not directly but indirectly. Hence the name is indirect addressing mode. So what it does basically do, this LDAX, what does this instruction is doing? This instruction is loading, listen very carefully, this instruction is loading the contents of memory location indicated by register pair BC into register A. Okay, understood? It is loading the contents of memory location indicated by BC pair. Contents of memory location what? A memory location contains what? 8-bit data. So it is loading the contents of memory location indicated by BC pair into accumulator A. Okay, so 2000H contains some 8-bit data, so that 8-bit data will go to register A. And which register pair is we are using here in the example for indicating this memory location 2000H? Register pair BC. Okay, so you are getting the data through the whole process indirectly. Okay, hence the name is called indirect addressing mode. Another example we will take, STAXD. STAXD. What does STAXD means? Same. STA means stored. Now X is given, so if as soon as you see X, what do you understand? So D is indicating register pair DE, right? D is indicating register pair DE. So whatever data is there in the accumulator, you are storing that particular data, 8-bit data of accumulator, into memory location indicated by DE pair. Okay, now let us say DE pair stores 4000. Okay, so as soon as I write STXD, so it will store the data of accumulator into memory location indicated by DE pair. That is, the data of accumulator will get stored into memory location 4000H. Understood? This 4000H is pointed by which register pair? D register pair. So we are giving the address, but we are not giving it directly, we are indicating by some register, and hence the name is indirect addressing mode. Understood the difference between direct and indirect? In direct, the address, this address was directly given in the instruction, but in indirect addressing mode, this address is indirectly pointed by some register pair, and hence the name is indirect addressing mode. We are doing the same operation, but we are doing it indirectly. Okay, now here see let us give few more examples so that you can understand better. Now let us explain. So here microprocessor will what does the microprocessor so what does now see here in the microprocessor there is a register A. In this microprocessor there is register A, there is register B, and there is register C. Okay, so let us say register B contains 40H, register C contains 00H. So in whole BC pair will now contain 4000H, right? So BC pair will now contain 4000H, right? And in the memory location, in this memory location, this is a memory, this is a processor. In this memory location 4000H, okay, suppose there is some data 55H. I have taken this an example. Okay, first what we have taken, we have taken the processor. In the processor we have accumulator, we have register B, we have register C. So in register B, suppose we have data 40H, in register C we have data 00H. So total BC pair makes a data for 4000H. Okay, in that and now you have a memory unit. So in that memory unit we have a memory location, say 4000H. In that 4000H, let us say there is some data 55H. Okay, now we write LDAX-B. We write LDAX-B. Now what does LDA mean? LDA means A has to get the data from the memory location stored in BC pair. Okay, what does LDAX means? LDAX-B means A has to get the data from the memory location pointed by BC pair. Clear? Load A with data stored in memory location pointed by BC pair. So which memory location is pointed by BC pair? Which memory location is pointed by BC pair? What is stored in BC pair? 40,000H. So as soon as the processor finds that the BC pair contains 40,000H, which memory location it will go directly to 40,000H. As soon as I write LDAX-B, the processor will first find LDAX-B. Oh yes, so B, so it will go to direct BC pair because X is there. So it will what will see going to BC pair? It will see data 40,000H. Oh, now there is the 40,000H. So which memory location I have to access? The processor will immediately understand that you have to access this particular memory location 4000H, because says that the data is there. I have to load the data into accumulator. So as soon as it find 40,000H, okay, it will directly go to that memory location 40,000H. Okay, and from that particular memory location 40,000H, it will find the data 55H. Okay, that 55H, as soon as it finds the data 55H, it will load the data 55H into accumulator. Understood? Understood? What does LDAX means? LDAX-B means, should I repeat? As soon as it finds LDAX-B, it will see that yes, BC pair is loaded with 40,000 H. Okay, now then the processor will understand, yes, now you have to access the memory location 4,000 H. Okay, so it will go to the memory location 4,000 H. By going in for memory location 4,000 H, it will see that yes, there is some data 55 H. So this data 55 H, it will get loaded into accumulator, right? So this is how this memory instruction functions. Understood? So what does LDXB means? Again I am repeating, LDXB means load the data of memory location pointed by BC pair. Why BC pair? Because X is mentioned, so B will indicate register pair BC. So load the data of memory location pointed by BC pair into accumulator. Okay, understood? Now another example, STAXD mean STAXD. Now see here, this is a, suppose it is storing 20H by default. So it is storing some data 20H. It is storing some 8-bit data 20H, and register D is storing data 50H, and register E is storing data 00H. Okay, so this is by default. Okay, so DE pair in total will store data 50,000 H. Okay, now here DE indicates memory location 50,000 H. Which memory location is indicating? 5,000 H. Okay, understood? So microprocessor will store the data in that is stored in register A, that is 20H, into memory location indicated by DE pair. Which memory location is indicated by DE pair? 5,000 H. So accumulator, so the processor will store the data stored in accumulator, that is 20,000 H, pointed by memory into the memory location pointed by DE pair. Which memory location is pointed by DE pair? 5,000 H. So accumulator, the data of accumulator will be stored into memory location pointed by DE pair. Okay, so 20H will get stored into memory location pointed by DE pair. Which memory location is pointed by DE pair? 5,000 H. Okay, now see, I've written everything. I think you will get it clear. So STAX, that is the value of register A, gets the data stored in memory location pointed by DE pair. That is 5,000 H memory location will now contain the value, sorry, I've written it wrong. They will now contain the value 20H. Okay, will now contain the value 20H, not 55H, 20H, because I have taken it 20H. So the data of accumulator will be stored in here as 20H, not 55H. I am repeating, it will be 20H. Okay, so whatever 55H or 20H, whatever data is there in the accumulator, it will get stored in memory location pointed by DE pair. That is, which memory location is pointed by DE pair? 5,000 H. So this 5,000 H, first of all, what the processor will do? The processor will see that yes, STXD. First of all, what you see, that yes, I have to access the DE pair, because D is written. So I have to access the DE pair. So that is, in DE pair what data it is getting? The processor is getting 5,000 H. As soon as it is getting the data 5,000 H, it is going to memory location 5,000, because DE pair is indicating the memory location 5,000. In that 5,000 memory location, some previous data was there. Okay, that previous data will be overwritten and now by 20H. Okay, so whatever then the processor will do, as soon as they access the memory location 5,000 H, it will store the data of accumulator in memory location 5,000 H. That is, 20H will now get stored in memory location 5,000 H. Okay, not 55H, I am written it wrong. It will now contain 20H. Okay, whatever data is there in the memory accumulator, it will now get stored in memory location 5,000 H. Okay, that is 5,000 H memory location will now contain 20H. Okay, I think LDX and STXD is clear. Now, why indirect addressing mode is preferred over direct addressing mode? We have already understood that yes, indirect addressing mode is much more complex than all other addressing mode. But still, why are we preferring indirect addressing mode over direct addressing mode? Now see here, I given one question. Very simple question. Load the data stored in 5000 H in register A. Load the data stored in 5000 H in register A. Whatever data is there in 5000 H, you have to get the data into register A. Clear? Now here, since memory location is mentioned in the question, so we can use this program. We can solve this program either by direct addressing mode or indirect addressing mode. Both we can use. Okay. Now first, by direct addressing mode, very easy. LDA 5000. We can load the data of 5000 memory location simply by writing LDA 5000. That is the data of whatever data is there in the memory location 5000. That data will be loaded into accumulator. Very easy. Okay. Now we will be using the same program by indirect addressing mode. Okay. Now see here. First I have to initialize 5000 memory location. 5000 memory location. Here I have given the 5000 memory location direct in the instruction, but now I have to initialize this memory location. How? LXI B 5000H. Now here LXI B 5000H. What does it I mean? I means 5000H is data here. Okay. So what you to do? What I have told, LXI B 5000H in immediate addressing mode. This is immediate addressing mode. Now BC pair will be loaded with 5000H. X for B, X, if there is X, it means B is indicating BC pair. Okay, and since I is there, so 5000H is data. So this is, so what does it will do? It will load immediately the data 5000H into register pair BC. Okay, so whatever, so the data 5000H will be loaded immediately into register pair BC. Okay, now here 5000H is data. Now we will use this 5000H as address. How? By writing LDAXB. Okay, first we have stored the load the BC pair with 5000H. Okay, see here. Here I have told 50H is stored in D and E with 00H. Okay, I have written 50H in D, but how these numbers get stored in D, E and E? We have to initialize this data, right? So first, this initializing this data, for storing the data into BC pair or DE pair or HL pair, we have to write LXI. We have to load the data into that register pairs. Then only it will get loaded with the number, right? So for loading, we have to use immediate addressing mode. So we are writing LXI B 5000H. So BC pair is getting loaded with 5000H. Okay. Now you understood how these numbers came. 50H and 00H. We are loading it by writing LXI B 5000H. Now here 5000H is data. Now you will use this 5000H as address. How? By writing LDAXB. So after writing LXI B 5000H, what will happen? Make it very clear, because after that, while you start programming, I will not be able to make you understand in details. Okay, so now only you make it clear. As soon as I write LXI B 5000H, what will happen? In the processor, there is register B, there is register C, right? So as soon as I write LXI B 5000H, what will happen? This register B will get loaded with the data 50H, and the register C will get loaded with the data 00H, right? So LXI B means BC pair will get 5000H. Now here this will act as data. Now as soon as I write LDXB, now what will happen? This 5000H will now become a memory. This 5000H will now become a memory. Understood? Why? Because it have to, as soon as I write LDXB, what the processor will do? It will directly go to BC pair. So now it will understand that BC pair is containing 5000 H. So the processor has to access the memory location 5000 H, right? So as soon as the microprocessor access the memory location 5000 H, it will get the data. Some data is already stored in 5000, so that data is loaded in accumulator. Okay, understood? So register A gets the data from the memory location stored in BC pair. What is stored in BC pair? 5000 H. So 5000 H is, the processor will access the memory location 5000 H, okay, because it is indicated by BC pair. Now in that 5000 memory location there is some data. That particular data will get loaded into accumulator A. So what you have done, first you have initialized the BC pair with data 5000 H, then we have used the 5000 H as memory by writing LDAX. By writing LDAX, we have accessed the memory location 5000. In 5000 the data that was stored, that gets loaded into accumulator. I hope it is clear. So using direct, so why are you using so so as both are same, that is in both cases A is getting the data, right? Using LDA 5000 H, also A was getting the data. Now using LXI B to 5000 H and then using LDAX B, that in that case also A was getting the data. So what is the why we are going for indirect addressing mode? Why you are not preferring direct addressing mode? Now, because direct addressing mode is simpler compared to indirect addressing mode. So why are we not getting that? Why are not using direct addressing mode? Why are you going for complex programming? Okay, now if I ask, listen very carefully. Now if I ask you, get me the value stored in 5000 H, you will be using direct addressing mode, that is LDA, right? LDA 5000, right? Now if I ask you, get the data from memory location starting from 5000 H, which memory location will you use? Which addressing mode you will be use? You will be using indirect addressing mode, because every time you cannot write LDA 5000, LDA 5001, LDA 5002, as it will make the program very big. So if you want to do the same work 100 times, you don't write it 100 times. You put it in a loop and you continue the loop. That is programming. You have already learned in C, right? If you want to write, if you want to do the same operation 100 times, you don't have to write the instruction 100 times. You put it in a loop and you continue to the loop until the counter becomes 0. I think that much programming all of you know. Okay, so you cannot achieve anything by looping using direct addressing mode. If you want to do programs using looping method, you cannot use direct addressing mode. So you are getting the data in A by LXI B LDX B 5000. So then if you have to go to the next memory location 5001, you will be directly writing INX B. Okay, INX B. What will do INX B? It will increment the, I have already told, it will increment the BC pair by 1. That is, BC pair was storing 5000. Now if you write INX B, what the BC pair will store? It will store 5001. So you don't have to write LDA 5001, LDA 5002. I'll repeat INX B. So it will increase the content of BC pair by 1. So if you want to access series of locations, you have to use indirect addressing mode. Okay, if you want to access series of locations, okay, that is 5000, 5001, 5002, 5003, you can't do the programming by direct addressing mode. You have to use indirect addressing mode. Understood? So while doing programming, we never use one memory location. We use series of locations. Understood? While we'll do programming, we'll never use one memory location, we will have to use series of memory locations, and that is why we always have to use indirect addressing mode. Okay, we always have to use indirect addressing mode. So this is the addressing mode on which the real world programming does. Okay, this is the addressing mode on which the real world programming does. I hope you understood. Okay, if you have any queries, any questions, okay, do ask me in the class sessions. Okay, I'll make you clear. Now I have another program with the program tells write a program to take the data from memory location 2000H into A and store it. Okay, and store it from 2000. We have to load the data from memory location 2000H into A, and then we have to store the data from accumulator to 3000H. Okay, so the solution is very simple. LDA 2000H, what does it do? It will load the data contained in memory location 2000H into accumulator, right? We have got the data from 2000H into accumulator, and then by writing STA 3000H, we will store the content of accumulator into memory location 3000H. Very simple. Now I will write for now program done. Now if I ask you write a program to transfer a block of data, this picture is not clear, a block of data from memory location 2000H to 3000H. This is a memory location. This is not clear. This is 2000, this is 2001, this is 2002, this is 3000, this is 3001, this is 3002. This is not clear, I am telling you. This is memory location 2000, this is 2001, this is 2002, this is memory location 3000, this is memory location 3001, this is memory location 3002. Now my program is I have to transfer this block of data, okay, into, there is some data, suppose in 2000 there is some data XX, in 2001 there is some data YY, in 2002 there is some data ZZ. Okay, I have to transfer this data into these memory locations. Okay, this is my program. So can I write this program by using direct addressing mode? No, because every time I have to use LDA 2001, LDA 2000, LDA 2001, LDA 2002, then STA 3000, STA 3001, STA 3002. So this will make the program very large. Okay, so we'll be using what type of addressing mode here? We'll be using indirect addressing mode. See here, LXIB, first we'll initialize the memory locations. How to initialize the memory locations? LXIB 2000H. What will happen if I write LXIB 2000H? Tell by yourself, because in the home nobody is listening you. LXIB 2000H. So 2000H, this since I is mentioned, so 2000H data will be loaded into BC pair, right? Into BC pair. See, 20H will be loaded into register B, and 00H will be loaded into register C. So BC pair is loaded with 2000H data. Similarly, we will initialize the 3000H memory location. How? LXI D 3000H. Now DE pair will contain 3000H. That is, D will contain 30H and E will contain 00H. Okay, so we initialize two memory locations. One is 2000, one is 3000. Now here it is acting as data, but as soon as I write it LDAX and STAX, it will act as memory locations, right? So LDAX B, what does it mean? So whatever data was stored in memory location indicated by BC pair. What memory location is indicated by BC pair? What does BC pair contain now? 2000. So 2000X, what does data it contain? XX, right? So this XX data, okay, that is indicated by memory location pointed by BC pair will get loaded into accumulator, right? So accumulator now contains data XX. Now again, if I write STXD, now what memory location is indicated by DE pair? What 3000? I will initialize DE pair with 3000. Now as soon as I write STXD, this 3000 data will act as address. So DE pair is indicating memory location 3000, right? So whatever data was stored in accumulator, now accumulator was storing what data? XX, right? By using LDAX, I have loaded the data of 2000 into accumulator. So 2000 memory location was containing data XX, so that access was transferred to register A. Now as soon as I write STXD, the data of A, register A, will go to memory location indicated by DE pair, right? So it will get transferred into memory location 3000. So 3000 will now contain XX. So one data is already transferred. Okay, now you have to go to the next memory location 2001. How can we go? INXB. So if I write INXB, what will happen? The BC pair will be incremented by 1, that is 2000 will be incremented by 2001. Now if I write then again INXD, so if I write INXD, so DE pair will be incremented by 1, that is 3000. Now 3001, that is the DE pair will be incremented by 1, so DE pair will be now pointing to 3001. So again we will write LDXB. Okay, LDXB. I will continue the loop. So if I write LDXB, what will happen now? So now BC pair is indicating to which memory location? 2001, because INXB I have by incremented the memory location by 1. So now LDXB, it is pointing to memory location 2001. So now YY will get loaded into accumulator. So this accumulator data, if I write STXD, now DE pair is indicating which memory location? 3001. So 3001 will get the data of accumulator, that is YY, will get loaded into 3001. Okay, then again I will write INXB, INXD. So again it will be incremented 2001 will be incremented 2002, and 3001 will be incremented 3002. So again I will write LDXB and STXB. So what the ZZ data will be first loaded into A by writing LDXB, and that data of accumulator will be stored into register D. Stored into memory location pointed by DE pair, that is 3002, that is ZZ will get transferred into 3002. So this is working in a loop. I will put in a loop. These instructions I will put in a loop. So every time every time I am not writing LDA 2000, LDA 2001, LDA 2002, because LDA 2001 itself will take 3 memory locations, right? Because it's 3 byte instruction. Then LDA 2002. Then LDA 2003, how many memory locations it is taking in total? 3 plus 3 plus 3, 9 memory locations. Then for STA also we have used 18 memory locations it will take. But if you use this, how many memory locations you are taking? This is 3 byte, 3 plus 3 6, this 6 plus 1 7, 7 plus 1 8. These are all 1 byte instruction because no operand is there. Okay, it will have a opcode only itself. This is 3, this is 3 6, this is 1 7, 7 plus 1 8, 8 plus 1 9, 8 plus the 3 plus, this is 3, this is 3, this is 6, 6 plus 1 7, 7 plus 1 8, okay, 8 plus 1 9, 9 plus 1 10. Yes, of course it is taking 10 memory locations, but I have used only 3 memory locations, LDA 2000 to the 2001 to 2000 3000. But if I have used 100 memory locations, then you can understand how many memory locations it will take in total if I write the program using direct addressing mode. This is a smaller program. Okay, so it is taking, so you are you will not understand that it is basically using less number of memory locations compared to direct addressing mode. When you will do the block transfer program, okay, then you understand that why you are preferring indirect addressing mode. Whenever you want to work in loop, because every time you do programming, you have to put the program in loops. In almost all the cases you have to put the programming loops. So if you want to put the programming loops, then you can't use direct addressing mode. You have to always use the indirect addressing mode. Understood? So you will get this clear when we will proceed towards the programming section. Okay, I think the basics are clear. What is LDX, what is SDAX, what is LDA, what is SDA, what is direct indexing mode, what is indirect mode, all the basics. I think I hope it is very clear because I have used several type of examples. Okay, go through the video multiple number of times, then you can understand it very clearly, because I have used many examples, as much examples as I can. Okay, and I have shown you some programs also. Okay, now the last addressing mode and the simplest addressing mode is it is implied addressing mode. Now, what is implied in addressing mode? Very simple. Many times we don't have to say things. It is implied. That is, without speaking, if you can convey your message, that is called implied. What, right? What do you mean by implied? That is, without speaking, if I can convey my message, that is called implied, right? So without actually getting the operand, if you can do your job, it is called implied addressing mode. Understood? Without getting the operand, if you can do your job, it is called implied addressing mode. Now in implied addressing mode, we give nothing. We don't give the data, we don't give the address, because the operand is implied. Means there are some instructions which can work on a particular operand. Since it works on particular operand, you don't need to give the operand. It becomes implied operand. Okay? You understood? In implied addressing mode, we give nothing. We don't give the data, neither we give the address, because the operand is implied. Means there are some instructions which can work on particular operand. Since it works on particular operand, you don't need to give the operand. It becomes implied operand. Okay? Now for example, here this is an instruction stc. What does stc means? Set carry flag. Okay? If the carry flag is 0, if I write stc, it will set the carry flag to 1. So it always works on carry flag. This instruction, it always works on carry flag. It doesn't work on any other flag. So it means it is implied. This instruction is implied that it will always work on stc. It will always work on carry flag. Okay. So this is an example of implied addressing mode. Another example I'll show. This is CMC, that is complement carry flag. That is, if carry flag is 1, if I write CMC, it will become 0. And if carry flag is 0, if I write CMC, it will become 1. That is, carry equals to carry bar. So here it is also implied that this instruction will always work on carry flag. It will operate in no other flags. It will operate on only on carry flags. So the operand becomes implied, right? Here the operands becomes implied in the instruction, that is, it will always work on carry flag. Okay, there are several examples of implied addressing mode. I am using only these 2 examples. Okay, so you have understood. Here the operand is implied. That is, this instruction is always works on carry flag. That is why the operands are not mentioned. Okay, that is, the operand is implied, and these are examples of 1 byte instruction also, because it will only take the opcode. Okay, and no operand is given here. So this is 1 byte operation. This is 1 byte instruction. Understood? Understood? So what we have done today? Let us take a quick recap. What is we have done? First, we have learned about immediate addressing mode. What is immediate addressing mode? The data was directly given in the instruction. Okay. Then we have studied about register addressing mode. What was done in register addressing mode? The data was given in the register. Okay. Then we have done in the direct addressing mode. When you will be using direct addressing mode, when to access the memory. Okay. In direct addressing mode, the memory location where the data was stored, that memory location was given in the instruction. What you have learned in the indirect addressing mode? In indirect addressing mode, we have learned that the data, the memory location in which the data was stored, that memory location was given in the register, and that register was given in the instruction. So you are accessing the memory not directly but indirectly. That is why the indirectly addressing. That is why the name is given as indirectly addressing mode. Okay, understood? And all the programmings that we'll be doing in future will be using maximum time in direct addressing mode, because it works in loops. Okay, so we are ending here today. So if you have any doubts, you can ask in your class. You can ask in during your class sessions. I'll answer each and every question, and So we are ending here today. So do well. Goodbye.